What up, y'all? Today's episode of the RV Voice is brought to you by RVFix. And let me tell you, if you've ever found yourself stranded with an RV issue miles from the nearest service center, you know how frustrating that can be. Well, that's where RVFix comes in. Imagine having a master RV tech right in your pocket. Yeah, you heard that right. With RVFix, all it takes is a quick phone call and boom, you're connected via video call with an expert who can guide you through fixing your issue, saving you both time and money. Then here's the kicker. Try RVFix risk-free with a 14-day free trial. You'll need to enter your card number just like most subscriptions, but don't worry, you won't be charged until after the trial ends. If you decide to continue, please use the code RVVoice at checkout. This really helps support the RV Voice and keeps us going strong, and we really appreciate it. Seriously, guys, this is a game changer. Stay on the road and keep your RV in tip-top shape with RVFix. Learn more at RVFix.com. Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the RV Voice. Today we have another full-timer. But if you haven't seen, we got something new and different behind me. We don't have a white brick wall no more, which is great. I don't know what happened to my mountain scene, but whatever is what it is. Today we're talking to a full-timer that's almost on their first year anniversary. They're going to tell us all about their first year. And it's only one of them. I didn't get both halves. I got the better half, I bet you someone would say. So that being said, they're driving or going around the country in a 2024 Brinkley Model G 3950. They bought it last year from the Tampa show. They found it around their anniversary. Said, I want this for my anniversary, babe. And she got it. They're traveling around with 4 kids, 1 dog. It is the Tactical Trekkers. Sorry, Tactical. Did I say it right? I feel bad. Tactical Trekkers. Kristen Smith, thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Tactical Trekkers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's my introduction. I love it.
Oh, I do my best. I try. You know, I'm not perfect at it, but, you know, one step at a time, we'll get better and better. But down in Florida right now, you got the glowing skin. You're nice and tan. Are you naturally tan?
Working on it.
Yeah.
We put a little bit of work into it. I try to get my vitamin D.
There you go. There you go. I need more of it. It's been ski season here, so I've been literally just walking around. It's all my ski gear's in the back of my Jeep at all times. So just in case it does start snowing, I just run up to the mountain or drive up to it. Mm-hmm. But down in Florida right now, enjoying the lifestyle of the full-time RV life. You started about a year ago in April, so you're coming up on the 1-year anniversary. You're 10 months in, and you said no more Groundhog Day. You're not going back ever. No plans to, right?
I won't say we're never going back, but yeah, no plans. I mean, I think initially we came up with this idea, and we were kind of like, we'll cruise around for a year, and then maybe we'll shop for some land after that. And, you know, I planned out that first year, and I was like, holy smokes, this is going to be way longer than a year. You know, we really just spent the first year checking in with family and visiting, and, you know, we had some warranty work done on the rig. So we were up in northern Indiana. We did our first full-time families rally. The kids made a bunch of friends, and there's still so much more to see and do. So yeah, it's an indefinite thing right now.
It's here to stay. That's good. I'm jealous of you. I'd love to do it. Everyone that said, at least everyone that I've talked to, obviously the people that stopped, I probably wouldn't talk to. But everyone that's been doing it says they absolutely love it. And they don't see themselves going back to the normal or normality life of 9 to 5 to, you know, waking up every day like the Groundhog Day. That was a great reference that you said before this. Yeah, it kind of sucks sometimes, you know, the mundanity of it all. It's just kind of brutal. But if you don't mind, let's kind of get into the personal journey of how it all started. So, like, what inspired you and Jeff to get into this? Because it's not an easy transition, right? It's you have the normality. It's the easier way, right? It's the 9 to 5. I know what I'm doing this day. Schedule routine. I work great on a routine and work great on a schedule, but then I get to that point where like I just want to I just feel brain dead after it. But So what inspired you guys to transition to the full time to share the whole story about it?
So oddly enough, this is something that he and I talked about doing about 15 years ago. So before we ever had kids, probably shortly even before we got married, we had just moved to Texas from the Midwest. And we settled in Houston, and we'd already kind of gone through this big life change. And we were just like, hey, I got an idea. What if we bought a fifth wheel and we traveled around the country? And, I envisioned, RV parks with significantly older gentlemen, crusty old veterans. My husband's a veteran. And, I always love when the old men wear their veteran hats that say like Korean War. Reminds me of my grandpa. And
Or
so
Vietnam.
I just pictured
Exactly. Black hat, the gold rim around it. Yeah.
Exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's a vibe. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to go sit around campfires with these guys and like hear them tell stories. And I guarantee that would just be the most amazing experience. So we like seriously shopped for fifth wheels for a while. We were in a rental house at the time because we just moved down there. So we didn't have any real roots. And then, one thing led to another. We looked for a while, and then we got kind of comfortable, and then we ended up buying a house, and then we had a kid and another kid, and we started a business, and then then we had to buy a bigger house in a different school district for the next two kids, and it just, those roots kind of got deeper and deeper and deeper until you're really firmly entrenched, right? And I don't have a lot of regrets in life, but I used to always tell him that that was one of my regrets, was not traveling full time and living in an RV when we had the opportunity to. So fast forward, 2020 hits. I end up pulling the kids out of school. I wasn't down with all the mask mandates. I wasn't sending, a kindergartner to school to wear a mask and not interact with her peers. So I started homeschooling. We owned a gym in the Houston area. And in, I guess, spring of 2022, we ended up selling that business. So one day I kind of looked around, and I've got all four kids at home, not going to school. And my husband's working from home, no longer going to an office. And I'm like, hey, remember that idea we had a long time ago? Like, we never leave this house. So what if this house could move? And are we crazy enough to do that with four kids and a dog? And my husband was like, yeah, we are crazy enough to do that. And here we are.
Full circle. Came back around.
I mean, it was a long time coming, but it was just when the time was right, it had kind of been in the back of our minds for such a long time that it was a no-brainer.
Oh, that's freaking cool. It's a big leap to make that, right? It's not a, how do you say that? I mean, it's almost like flipping your life upside down to do something totally different. But like COVID was a big Kickstarter or a fire starter for a lot of people to do this because of all the mandates, and then like pulling people out. Like then a lot of companies then took out real estate. They're like, we don't need real estate now because people can work remote. It's cheaper for them. They're like, well, we can basically quadruple our profits because we're not buying anything to house people for work day. And I don't know, the remote work has been a huge deal. And then obviously that being remote, people were like, well, why not buy an RV and just kick it for a while? And that's what a lot of things happen. And you're one of them. Sounds like, I mean, only 1 year ago though. So it took you.
Yeah. It took us. So by the time we sold the business in 2022, we started talking about it again. And I would say spring of 2023, we said, okay, we made the decision. We made our list of pros and cons. We kind of looked at everything financially, and we made the decision to do it. And it took, I would say, 10 to 12 months to really unwind our life. So we do a lot of real estate investment. My husband was in the middle of a deal where he was buying a storage building that needed to be renovated to get it ready for sale, and had to make sure management was in place. And there was just a lot of kind of slowly unraveling everything that really tied us down in Houston to make sure that, we could keep earning money on the road and not necessarily be pulled back constantly to have to oversee things. So it was a process, definitely, to get to that point, but I feel good about where we are now for the long term.
Well, interesting. Since you brought up the process of kind of prepping and planning to do this, let's hop into prepping and planning, right? Let's do it. What steps did you take to prepare to do this? Because I mean, you sounds like you guys you were tied into a lot of things. You had your hands in a lot of stuff, right? You had several businesses, you had several real estate places that you had to flip or whatever it may be, prepared to get, whatever, but you had to get out of that. And now you're doing something else, which we'll get into that. But yeah, let's just start with that. And then we'll go into how you chose your first RV, because it sounded like it was a unicorn for you, like you said. So let's go to how did you prep your life, minimize your life, minimalistic lifestyle to get into an RV? Because you got 4 kids and a dog and two adults. So start there.
Yes.
Preparation and planning.
The best preparation to get ready for a minimalist lifestyle. I don't necessarily recommend this to everyone, but in 2017, we got hit with Hurricane Harvey and we got 4 feet of water throughout our whole house and lost most of our belongings.
So get a hurricane. I'll take 2.
House, all your belongings, and then it's really, really easy from that point to be pretty minimalist. I honestly didn't replace a lot of my stuff after that. We didn't have, and I also wasn't really attached to a lot of things. So when it came time to sort of sort through all of our personal belongings, I did a lot. I shipped the kids off to Illinois to stay with some grandparents for about a week. And I did the stuff like, kids are funny when they see like a broken toy. Maybe they haven't touched it in 5 years, but as soon as they see it, they're like, oh my God, that's my favorite toy. You can't get rid of it. So those kinds of things I had to purge without them around. And then we kind of worked through a system. We had stuff that just needed to get thrown out. We had stuff that needed to get donated. We had stuff that, sort of my olive branch to them is I didn't want them to feel like they had to get rid of their things that they still may have had an emotional attachment to. So I promised them whatever they needed to keep to feel like secure and content that we would keep. So we have a storage unit, and they each, their favorite stuffed animals, books from their childhood that I used to read them, things that are special to them. All of that stuff is in storage. And then my parents live in Houston, so they all packed up little storage totes of things that maybe they knew they didn't need every day, but they thought they might want in the next 3 to 6 months. And we see my parents fairly regularly. So, worst case scenario, grandma could always ship us something out of your storage bin. So that worked well with the kids, and it made them feel more like, okay, I don't have to say goodbye to all of my stuff. But yeah, really, we didn't have a huge emotional attachments to a lot of our stuff, which made it easy to purge. Although I will say, we purged for 8 months probably, and that last month when the house went under contract and actually moving out, I was still amazed at how much stuff we still had in our house.
It's amazing how much stuff you accumulate. It's
scary.
It is. It's really bad. I lived in a place in Lincoln, Nebraska before I moved out here to Boise, and I lived in there 2017 to 23, right? It was just under 5 years, right? And I had some things because I moved from college to there, but then I was like, okay, this is my first, I guess, shot at real life, or first introduction to real life. And then I started buying tools. I bought 7 motorcycles when I was in there, because I was flipping those. And then you accumulate other things, and then you get more tools and more toys. And I was just when I moved out of there, I was shocked how much stuff that I had to bring with me, because I brought probably 95% of it with me to Boise, and I'm still shuffling out of that. So doing that with 6 of you, that's a lot, and then, so I actually heard a real weird, I guess a crazy statistic the other day about how old's your oldest kid?
12.
So this was a year ago. So 11, they still got some, toys and such, whatever. I heard that 60% of the world's toys are in the US.
Oh, I could see that.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah. And it's almost disgusting, but it's crazy because we're the advertising marketer of the world, right? So, so to declutter that stuff and stuff that's really not important to you, and then in 3 years it's not going to matter to you by then. It's just kind of crazy, but anyway, that's a lot to go through, and basically a whole year of purging. Sounds like.
Yeah. Those were our weekend tasks was, garbage bags have to leave the house one way or another. I don't care where they're going, but they can't stay here.
Oh, goodness. Well, you did it, and you're doing well. And I guess, is within your RV, is there everything have its own space now? Because you got 4 kids in there. I mean, how minimalistic are the children now? Because I mean, y'all got to be pretty minimalistic.
They're pretty minimalistic. I will say right now we're in a weird place after our first Christmas. I don't think our extended family quite has the minimalist concept down. So like when they come visit or if it's birthday or Christmas, they still want to like buy all the things, and we're trying to pump the brakes and, you know, we want more experiences or things that don't take up as much actual physical space inside the RV. So things were very well organized, and now we're going to need a little bit of spring cleaning, I think, before we really like take off and start traveling again full time for travel season. Yeah, we'll do some more purging.
Yeah, it's tough to do. I can't imagine. I've thought about the whole, you know, van life and whatnot, and I see these people. I'm like, I'll have to have a storage unit. There's no way. I have 3 motorcycles. I will never get rid of them. I can't. I might trade one, but I'll still have them. And then obviously everything else I have. Like there's certain things. Like I have, I don't know, 3 to 5 totes of just hunting gear. Like that stuff's expensive. Like if I get rid of it, you know, it's like I got to replace it eventually because that's what I love. I love to do that, and it's so yeah. I mean, there's certain important stuff. Did you have like a system with that when you were purging?
For purging?
Yeah. So like when I mean like, was there like, okay, well I haven't used this in 2 months, or I haven't worn this in 3 months, because I've read up on some minimalistic stuff, but like, you know, it's like I haven't worn it in 2 months, gone.
So I had already I read the life-changing magic of tidying up, that Marie Kondo book, and she's got a show, I think on Netflix, that goes along with it. So it's all about minimalist, like Japanese organization. And I did a thing where I had, you know, 2 hanging racks in my walk-in closet, and I would put everything down on one. So I purged initially for all my clothes, and then I hung stuff on one, and then if I wore it, when I put it back on the hanger, after I wash it, I would put it up on the empty hanging bar. So that way I could kind of track what I had worn. And realistically, like I wore the same 5 things over and over again. So there was a ton of stuff that, you know, I could go 6 months. And because you want to kind of go through a season, but also like we have the ability to travel wherever we want. I'm not trying to go anywhere cold because I don't like to be cold. So we don't have a lot of cold weather stuff. Right. Yeah. So like that helps a ton. Like everybody have a couple sweatshirts and some sweaters, couple pairs of pants, and you know, we're good. Put that stuff in this storage tote down in the basement in case we get caught off guard by some 30-degree weather somewhere. But that's about it.
A couple weeks ago, about a month ago in Florida, you guys stayed in the RV, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a little chilly. We were in Houston as well over Christmas and New Year's, visiting family, and it got a little cold in Houston, so we can do it for short periods of time, but
not a long period. Yeah, I'm a cold weather fan. I'd rather be in a foot of snow at all times. Like if I can be skiing all year round, that's like a dream for me, just to be able to go snow skiing at all times, which you can, right? You just got to travel across the equator a long ways.
Yes, I grant you that. At least I think if you're going to be cold, then you need to have like some sort of fun outdoor activity. If it's like you're in the Midwestern plains and it's just like dirty snow and slush, like there's just no redeeming quality to that.
Yep. You can, there's hunting involved. That's about it. But you know, everything in the Midwest in wintertime, you say whatever you're doing and then add drinking with it, you know?
Yes.
Like, oh, we're going ice fishing and drinking. We're going hunting and drinking. Like,
yeah. Well, you have a winter
we're going
body.
cruising. Yeah. It's just how, you know, you got to stay warm, right?
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So, well, yeah, that book you said, who was that book by?
Marie Kondo, I think. It's an old one.
Well, it sounds interesting. You said Japanese organization. That's, you know, they're like the kings at that because they're a very minimalistic lifestyle. I guess most of the Asian culture is. If Japanese is Asian, I mean, yeah, it would be, right?
Yep.
Very interesting. I would like to see that or read that. But anyway, let's move on to the RV now. So how did you go about choosing the first? Whoa, what was that?
Just that little RV dog we brought with us.
Oh, yeah?
Right?
Hey,
She
how's
got
it
the
going?
small one.
I want some screen time. Oh goodness.
Oh,
So 3950 Model G Brinkley is, you said
yes.
before we hopped on here, you said it was kind of a unicorn for you. And it sounds like you guys did a little more planning than most people that do this. I've probably over 50, probably 75% ish kind of just baptism by fire hop into it. But it sounds like you guys really took your time to find the perfect RV. So can you walk us through the process of how you went about choosing your first RV, or what advice you'd give someone trying to do so themselves?
Absolutely. So I meet these people on the road who just bought their first RV, moved into it, started full timing, and then just started homeschooling their kids. And I'm like, oh my God, if I did all of this stuff at once, like I have the utmost respect for them, because
Yeah.
our transition was really easy because I was already homeschooling our kids and we
Yep.
were already pretty seasoned RVers.
Oh,
So
you were?
our first RV
Okay.
was a tiny travel trailer, probably 25 feet, no slides, but it was a toy hauler. And I loved this toy hauler. Loved it.
Yeah.
Like we had so many good memories. So all during COVID, we would, we had enough freedom being, an entrepreneur working for ourselves, that we would try to give the kids some level of normalcy. We'd load up in our little travel trailer. I pulled it with my SUV, and we would go do, 11 states and be gone for 4 to 6 weeks at a time.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So we learned a lot about RVing. We learned some lessons, the hard way. Also kind of set our expectations pretty low, I think. Like we anticipate things like being stuck on the side of the road with a blown tire, or, things not being right from the factory because we bought a brand new 2021 travel trailer. Like, and I think something was never even hooked up. I didn't have hot water in the thing the entire time until we sold it.
Yeah.
So we got rid of that thing and we replaced it when we were not flying during COVID. My husband had a lot of business travel to do. We made a very spur of the moment decision that in hindsight was a very bad decision, but we had just driven from Houston to Miami and back, which is a really long drive. And he's like, why are we doing this in a car with kids? We should get a motorhome. We're not motorhome people. So lesson learned, we bought a giant Class C bunkhouse. And we made that decision so hastily, like we knew nothing about it. We did not have the ability, we didn't have the tow capacity to tow a vehicle that would seat 6 people. So like we
Run
could tow a
around.
small Jeep, right? But like that didn't help us much because there's 6 of us.
Mhm.
So I would end up just driving behind my husband while he's driving our Class C, which really kind of got rid of the whole point of being in a Class C together, and also very expensive. So
Yes.
we just, I also felt like even though that was like a 34-foot Class C, it felt so much smaller than our small toy hauler travel trailer with no slides. There was just no kitchen. Like the kids were, constantly sleeping in different areas. I had to kind of set up and break down. And the problem I think with motorhomes, if you're trying to do this full time and you've got more than, let's say, 3-4 people tops, is that you don't have that differentiation, that residential feeling of different rooms like you can achieve in a towable.
Yes.
So once we decided like, hey, we're going to do this full time and we don't have the right RV for it, I am like a level 10 fact finder. I am a planner like crazy. I'm a nerd from way back. I mean, we moved to Houston so I could do my PhD at Rice University. Major nerd here. So I researched fifth wheels like crazy. So I started off with
Yep.
bunkhouses. We eliminated all bunkhouse models because we were always drawn to the patio on a toy hauler. So it really came down to us. That was about the time that Brinkley released their Model Gs. And we went and we walked one. We loved the quality, but I hate a super sofa. Because to put 6 people on a big super sofa, we're already kind of crammed in there. And there's just no cross conversational seating, right? There's no like, I liked the sectional feel in our house. And I also don't like the kitchen and the living room all in one big area. Like I like a little bit of separation, probably because I have 4 young kids and I want everyone to stay out of the kitchen if I'm in there. So like you just put
Beat
an
it.
island. You put an island that's separating like them from me, and they're trying to get snacks and stuff. Like that's no,
Uh-huh.
it's just going to be a constant fight. So I knew
Yeah.
that floor plan was just not the floor plan for us.
Mhm.
So we looked really seriously at a bunch of momentums. I looked very seriously at some cyclones because they've got some great floor plans for families.
Yep. Yep.
And I made a list of sort of my must-haves, and I listed everything, my nice-to-haves, and then I went through literally like Excel spreadsheet this stuff, and I I surprised
Nerd.
myself.
Nerd.
I'm telling you, I'm self-identified. I admit it. But I surprised myself with
That's
some
good.
things. Like I ended up really having an issue with floor vents, and I just
Okay.
really did not want floor vents. So
Mhm.
we had almost settled on a rig. I mean, like we went to a show in Texas, found the rig, we negotiated price. We were so close to signing the paperwork, and it was an Alliance 44V14 that has the big L-shaped couch,
Yep.
14-foot garage. I loved the Alliance warranty where they would send a mobile tech out to us. I think that's huge if you're a full timer and you're trying to really kind of limit the inevitable stuff that's going to go wrong when you're pulling your house down the highway. So that was a big deal for us. And something happened, and I saw a like 30-second Instagram reel or a TikTok from somebody in Lazy Days in Canada, I think, and it was a walkthrough of the Model G 3950 before it was like the prototype. And I was like, hold the presses. No, we're not buying that Alliance. Like this is my unicorn right here. This has every single thing on my must-have list, and it had every single thing on my nice-to-have list with the exception of an outdoor kitchen. Everything. Like this RV has everything that I want. So when we flew to the Tampa show last year, we were 99.9% sure that we were going there solely to purchase the 3950. So that's kind of why full timing for us did not start until we took possession of that. So they didn't go into production until I think late February or early March.
Mhm.
And because we bought through the show in Tampa, we had to buy through General RV. So we had to go back to Tampa to pick it up once it got shipped there and then drive it back to Houston. Once we got
Oh
it,
my.
it was, mid second week of April. And yeah, we brought it home and the kids came in here. I thought, that we were going to do some renovations and stuff and then move in, but the kids never left. They never wanted to go back to our house. So we
That's a
were
good
in it at
time.
that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, let's real quick, how because I'm looking at the floor plan here. I'm guessing you and the hubby are up front, right?
Yes.
You guys are in the master bedroom, and then I'm guessing the back in the toy hauler space is where the kids, the bunks, right?
Yes. So
Or
we
is
did
that
a little
all four of them
renovation.
back there?
Yeah. What we did was we actually took out the queen size tray up top and the Happy Jack
Okay.
sofas, and we built essentially king size. So they stick out another, let's say 13, 15 inches from what like the stock queen size tray is. So that way we
Mhm.
have 2 twin beds that run north and south in each tray, and they're framed in, and it gives the kids about a foot of space in between their beds. So everybody has their own mattress, they have their own bedding, they have their own space that is distinctly theirs, but then everything can, lift to the ceiling during the day, and then they get their room for school or having friends over and homeschool space, playroom, whatever we need to
Yeah.
use it for. So
The
we
whole
do
garage.
have, we have the loft with garage access as well. But I don't know, for us, I didn't want anybody fighting over who got that loft. So it's just a reading nook. When people need a little bit more space away from siblings, things like that, they kind of go up in the reading nook, and it's a little space to get
Don't
away.
bother me.
Yes.
Yeah. I need my space.
Sometimes we need to
Oh.
tell somebody, go to the reading nook and take a little bit of space.
Yeah,
You need to
go.
reset.
Get out of here. It's a dual purpose loft.
Yeah. But that was another thing. I didn't want that loft having access from like the kitchen and living like a lot of them do, and
Yeah.
having that ladder in your living room. I wanted all that stuff kind of contained to the kids area. So in my mind, I needed every space to kind of play double duty, I guess. So like this is our master bedroom, but it's got the pull out, we got the east-west bed that we needed with a dresser. It's got a pull out top and a leaf with, makes a significant sized desktop. And so my husband works in here. He records his podcasts in here, stuff like that.
Very nice. So this is very well thought out.
Yes, we have that big U-shaped couch as well, which is fantastic for a big family. It has probably been the most controversial move I feel like that Brinkley has made because people either love it or they hate it, and most people hate it. But we are big time team U-shaped sofa.
You mean an L shape or total U shape?
So it's got an L shape or a U shape. At first, they just had a U shape, and the feedback on it was not great. So it's a little bit of a transformer, which is cool. It'll make a big U sectional. It'll make a small U sectional, or it'll make a bed, or you can put it all the way together for travel mode. Okay. So it's got some motors in there and folding pieces, and it's a cool idea. It's not the most comfortable couch, though. I will totally admit it. So they redid it, and they made an L-shaped couch with recliners. So it's basically like 5 seats. So 4 in a corner piece. And then you just have to remove one. It goes under the little, they call it the dinette area, the end piece when you pull the slides in for travel. So it's definitely more comfortable, but you miss out on having that whole additional leg of sofa.
Huh. Interesting.
So there's too many of us at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very well thought out. I mean, this is just the fact that I'm looking at the 3950 again here, and it's, I went to Brinkley like open house. I think it was 2023. Yes, 23. And I don't know if this is the one I saw, or it might have been the one that's like just like a outdoor kitchen patio. I can't remember, but it was one of these that had the full. I remember walking in and I saw all that, the couch and everything. And I was like, okay, this makes some sense. But I never thought like the loft from the backside, like that's like a little minute detail that like most people might not ever think of, that like, the loft would be from the kitchen access versus the garage access. The fact that you thought of that, I mean, incredible. But you are also, a couple of years into it. You had a travel trailer and a Class C beforehand. So it's not your first rodeo getting into full timing, but actually full timing, so interesting I mean, yeah. So if you want to find your perfect RV, start with a spreadsheet. You got to get on Excel. You got to take a class to figure out how to use Excel properly. Because I'm 30, almost 32, and I don't use Excel properly.
I don't either. I just did simple stuff on it. So
okay, pros and cons is pretty simple. Line items, must-haves, nice to haves. But Brinkley, you killed it. Paul Laux, if you're listening to it, crushed it, Paul.
And again, it was the build quality was huge. The warranty for full timing, the ability to get mobile text whenever you need it. Because again, like it's still an RV regardless. So some stuff is going to go wrong. But I felt really good. I think there's a lot of security, maybe is the word that I'm looking for, in our choice to go with Brinkley and have, an RV that our experience so far in this rig is not like any experience that we've had in any previous rigs at all. Really? Night and day.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're pretty damn cool, and they do the way they set up their corporate office about having helping with parts and warranty on the backside. You can call and actually talk to these people, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean we had a screw that rattled loose on the actual 50 amp plug on our unit. And so we were leaving Georgia, short travel day, like an hour and a half to get to South Carolina, pull the thing out, and it had melted. And I called Brinkley. I just called them directly, and I spoke to someone in customer care. I gave them our VIN. I told them what happened. I shot them a picture. And within an hour and a half, they had a mobile tech waiting for me at the campground when I showed up, who looked at the plug, ran over to Camping World, got everything we needed, rewired it, and I had power again in an hour.
Woo!
Yeah.
Bravo, Brinkley. Bravo. That's good. That's good stuff right there. That's customer care.
I toured the factory, and like they've got their core values hanging up, and I think sometimes that can be a little trendy, right? Like, oh, what are our core values? Like we stand for all these things, but when push comes to shove, do you actually right? Do you actually stand by those things? And
Yeah.
a huge one for them is customer experience, and I think that they're bending over backwards to redefine the customer experience in the RV industry, because it's not been great. I think for quite.
No, it's just kind of it's almost the RV industry standard is like, well, you bought the RV, see ya. But now it's like, okay, well, how do we keep people in these things? Because they're using them like homes now. Like there was always kind of like there was always a certain amount of people that did the full-time lifestyle. And now it's actually like it's a thing. There are always like, I guess it's over 1 million people now, like that full-time RV. Yeah, I did some statistics recently. Like just pulling stuff from the internet. They said over 1 million people full-time RV, if not over 6 months, which is basically full-time. Yeah, it's crazy. So the tables are turning in the real estate game. Buying a house is pretty tough. It's not exactly the most ideal thing to do, depending on where you are. I can buy a house in the Midwest, no problem. But like out here, is it the right thing to do? Do I want to be house broke? No. But so that was incredible. You actually really dove into it, really must-haves, nice-have, pros, cons, and really kind of went into detail of how this is going to work with a family of 6 plus 1.
Yep.
That's a lot. So kudos to you on that. But along with that, changing from the normality of the house to going into a full-time RV, there's different daily life about it now. Challenges and solutions, right? Whatever, how do you do all these things? So what's a typical day look like for you guys with 4 kids in the back, basically barracks, in the back? And then, you got one shower. I'm seeing one shower on this floor plan. So, but how do you manage everyday tasks, cooking, cleaning, bathroom styles? I mean, luckily you do have a half bath in the back, so that's good. Yeah. But everything, laundry, do you guys have a washer and dryer?
Oh yeah.
Just kind of walk us through it all.
We got everything that we need in here. Yeah. I will say, we've got a ton of kitchen space. We have like an L-shaped countertop, and we've got a full island. So I like to meal prep. Like we owned a gym for 12 years. I did a lot of nutrition coaching, things like that. And so I like to meal prep when we have the opportunity, and I've got enough space that I can do that. It's kind of a pain to wash dishes. I miss having a dishwasher. I know we could put in like a dishwasher drawer, but I'm also like, there's 6 of us and we make so much, like that's almost more work than it's worth, because I feel like I would fill it 17 times a day. So I might as well just wash my dishes anyway. So yeah, I've got laundry. Typical day is it's like mom math, that if I fall behind on like 1 day of laundry, somehow I'm behind like 27 loads. I don't know how 4 kids can wear and dirty so many clothes. But that's an absolute must for us. Otherwise my family would never see me, because I would live at a laundromat. And I love the convenience of having it in the RV. But yeah, usually we wake up. My husband usually gets up before I do. He likes to work before everybody is up. That's when he does his like best high value work. Get up, walk the dog. Kids start to wake up, feed everybody breakfast. We do schoolwork in the morning. Go to the pool in the afternoon. Yesterday we went to the beach because we're in Fort Myers, and just had a day of exploring. We were in Orlando a couple weeks ago, so we spent a couple days at Disney Springs and shopped around. It's it's kind of, we like to do that stuff during the week rather than on the weekends, because we don't like crowds. And my husband's very big on lifestyle engineering, so that's his thing, is like, if we have the ability with homeschooling and being self-employed, like we're going to go do that stuff on a Tuesday instead of doing it on a Saturday when everybody else is there.
That's fair. Lifestyle engineering. That's the first time I've heard those 2 words put together.
That's his jam.
You're building your own lifestyle, right? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, you figure out kind of what your dream lifestyle is, and you reverse engineer it to basically make it happen. So years and years and years ago, probably before we were married, before we had kids, I remember he told me what his idea of like having enough money or being financially free was. And he's always been a big college football fan. So he was like, someday if I have a son and he goes and he plays college football somewhere, I want the ability that I can fly or I can RV to every single one of his football games across the country, and I don't have to ask off. Like, I don't have to get PTO. I don't have to worry about financially what it's going to cost me. And like, I can just go and I can travel around, or I can travel around while he plays football, which I thought was the coolest, most unique way of like looking at money. Like, it wasn't X amount. Like, for him, it was a level of freedom.
Yep.
Right. And
Same.
of course, like money can provide freedom for you. And that's been a big thing as long as I've known him, is building that level of freedom in your life. And it's a big reason why we do this, because we like the freedom to, pursue the climate that we want, to go see the sites that we want, to raise our kids the way we want. All of the really cool things that go along with this life. Of course, it takes money to facilitate that. But you can have a whole bunch of money, but if you're stuck kind of trading your hours for dollars, then you haven't achieved that lifestyle that's going to give you the freedom necessary to do this.
Yeah, I agree to everything. I look at money as a necessary evil for freedom. Like, that's, I don't really. Yeah. I have the same same outlook on it. Like, I remember the happiest time. Like, I remember, like, how do I say this? So I did play college football at a small school, right? I had some fun there. Didn't travel a whole lot, so my parents made it to most of the games. But I guess money does not buy happiness. I mean, you can say whatever you want, and people say, "Well, I'm happy," like, but are you? No, like, money gives me the opportunity to be free from having to show up and do the same thing every day. Like, that's not what I want. I want the freedom. Like, I want money. Money is the vehicle to freedom. But like, reverse engineering, like, okay, here's my perfect lifestyle. This, that, and the other, and then like go backwards with it. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to talk to y'all more.
You alluded to this before we started recording. We are tactical trekkers because my husband runs a podcast called The Tactical Empire, and he has a company called The Tactical Empire. And within that company, he coaches men on essentially figuring out, number one, what is it that you want? Because a lot of us aren't even really clear on what it is that we want in life. So figuring out what you want, creating that dream lifestyle, reverse engineering for lifestyle engineering, right? And then creating enough passive income so that you actually have freedom in the areas of your life that are most important.
Interesting.
So, since he runs Tactical Empire, when we took things on the road, we became tactical trekkers.
Okay, well, there's your answer. That's what it is. Okay, I was thinking more like, like Velcro straps of like guns pulling out of pockets randomly.
Yeah. Well, he also was in special operations, so we have a little bit of that in the background as well.
That's where the tactical part comes from. But it's like, taking life at a tactical approach overall is I guess that's an interesting way of looking at life as well. I mean, for me, I was like, I'm kind of just like a free bird, just like whatever. Like, I'm going that way. I'm going that way. Like, whatever it is, I'm going that way. You can join
Letting
or not.
the wind carry you.
Yeah. Yep. I'm pretty easy going and pretty laid back. It's about as cool as they come. So, but yeah, actually, probably coming up with an actual plan, guess would be probably a lot easier, huh? What do you really want? It's kind of tough to break down. I mean, then you have to probably. I'm gonna listen to your husband's stuff. This will be interesting. But anyway. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've come across moving into an RV and being in the RV life, the full-time RV life? And how did you overcome them?
I don't think that we've had any really big challenges. The things that come to mind are like the level of sandy dirt. I did not anticipate that like every member of my family, dog included, was going to constantly, somehow 24 hours a day, track in sand. Like, we won't be anywhere near a beach. And I'm like, why is there sand on my floor? So I have to vacuum all day, every day, I feel like. I did not anticipate that. I also probably did not anticipate the level of bugs in the summer. because when you live in like a 4,000 square foot house, you know, you open your back door and the bugs see the light. And so like some of them come in. It's not a big deal when it's 4,000 square feet, but when it's 400 square feet and like the bugs come in at the door, that's a big deal, right? It just feels like they're everywhere sometimes. So those are challenges. They're not big challenges. They just kind of go with the territory. But I think that's probably given our lifestyle before, that we were already pretty minimalist. We did already RV. We expected some things to kind of go wrong sometimes and just roll with the punches. You know, the fact that the kids were already homeschooled, we really had a pretty easy transition, I think, when I look back at the last year. And I got some great advice. I'm so thankful for so many of the people that, you know, were active on social media before we took the plunge, because I reached out to a ton of them. And, you know, my biggest concern was that sense of community, especially for the kids. I wanted them to have a normal childhood in the sense that they have best friends and, you know, they didn't feel cut off and like they only had their family. And everybody that I talked to, they gave me two big recommendations. One was just get a Thousand Trails membership, because that's where the full-time families are. So we did that immediately. The other one was join full-time families and actually go to their rallies, which we also did. And we're headed to our next one in about a week and a half. So those two things have just been a total godsend and created such a sense of community, which I think has been what I've been most surprised by, is how strong of this like community feel there's been.
That's awesome. We're going to dive into that eventually. Well, yeah, we'll come back to order
here. Okay.
Nah. We can dive into it more. I just like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Real quick though, before we hop into that, because we'll go back into that. Okay. Let me draw a line so I know where I'm going, because I'm not perfect at that. Okay, so we'll come back to that real quick. For being on the road, you've been on the road for about 10, 11 months now. You're pushing that time frame. A challenge would be, you know, regular maintenance. You did say you had, you know, a very awesome, you know, story with Brinkley. But like, what about regular maintenance and repairs? Because it's a little different animal, because you guys still have to do your jobs of whatnot. So we'll dive into financial aspects here too. But how do you guys go about that?
So trying to put this diplomatically so my husband doesn't kill me. He doesn't work a lot. He's a fantastic provider, but again, like he has learned and he's done his work for, you know, decades to not trade his hours for dollars. So he's got a lot of freedom in the day. And so that could mean if it's Wednesday and like I need him to clean the ACs and, you know, fix something in the RV that needs to be fixed, like he can do that. I will say we've literally only had little teeny tiny things, like little screws that'll come out. The biggest issue that we've had that we actually had to kind of work around was this first run of these 3950s. The like aluminum framing, there was a fiberglass adhesion issue right at the bedroom slide, and it created a crack in the corner in the fiberglass. So there was a whole bunch of them affected. Brinkley found out that it was an issue. They reached out. They're like, hey, check, do you have this crack? And we did. It's starting to form. So they immediately scheduled us to get us into the service center. And so we went up there in September, and they took the rig in and they did all the repairs. They even, you know, if there was anything else that was on our list, they were happy to work on that stuff. I also noticed there were things like the fascia that goes around the slide. My husband always brings the chair from the dining table into our bedroom to work at the desk. And it's got a pretty wide base. So I think he like took the edge off of one of those fascia boards. It's a little divot taken out of it. I didn't even mention it because I'm like, well, that was our fault. Like we busted the thing. I went to go pick it up and they had replaced it. So things were like, we had a little bit of bubbling caulk in the bathroom, and like they recalked everything. Blinds that were like a little bit crooked, and they fixed that. So like, she just got a whole facelift while she was there, which was great. And we got family in the Midwest, so it gave us an opportunity to go up there, stay with family, go to a home Notre Dame game, all sorts of fun stuff. So, not a huge deal. They took great care of us and then sent us on our way again.
So you kind of got lucky so far. I mean, you got a year into it. You've been, you've had some great help from Brinkley, but sounds like pretty minimal issues. So I guess kudos to Brinkley again on not only on the service and repair sides and warranty sides, but just the fact that it's working.
Yeah. The quality is been a dream so far. I'll knock on wood. But...
There you go. Yeah, you better find something in there. Hit that fascia board. Oh goodness, that's awesome. But you brought up community connection, and we're going to dive into it now because you threw off my groove. But
I'm sorry.
No, anyway, no, it's completely fine. I've done this before. It's not my first rodeo. Anyway, so you were following a whole bunch of people, and that's kind of how I got, I guess, met you down there. Right. In Tampa. Like there was all of a sudden there was like 100 of you. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I don't know how to say hi to everybody.
Travel in groups.
Yeah. Well, I felt bad. I'm like, I feel like I'm one of those people that like, I'm a time giver. Like I will give you all of my time and attention, and I'll just, go over here. And then someone pulls me over here, and then I'm like, all my time and attention's over here. So I feel bad. Like I remember talking to you, and then I remember not talking to you. I don't know what happened. Whatever.
Well,
but
the kids were so excited to see all their friends at the Tampa show that there were probably like 4 or 5 of us families and 1 million kids between all of us running roughshod over the supplier building.
Yeah, and we got in trouble because we were like outside of our booth. But we had like a 10 by 10 booth, and there was 4 guys in there the whole time, and then one day there was 5, and then all of a sudden we have all these like people. We were like the most popular, one of, if not the most popular booth in that area, besides like the Lippert one, but they had like 100 yards of space. Like that's not even fair.
Yeah, they were huge.
But
well, you guys
anyway,
did that really cool display for RVFix. Everybody wanted to see it.
Oh, you guys want if you want a discount, use promo code RV Voice right there, right there. There. Oh, awesome. Anyway, so community connection. It sounds like you've found a sense of community because people like from what I've found or from what I've seen when I was down there, I met a lot of these people on the first day when we had the creator meeting, right? Everyone seems very welcoming and very friendly. I'm sure there's some sort of face maybe, but it didn't feel that way. I'm usually pretty good about that. Have you guys within your year 10 months of time, have you felt that you found a sense of community connection within the RV world?
100%. 100%. And it was, the shocking thing was how, I think, easy it has been. Now, this isn't the case for everybody. Like, I know we have friends that we have made that are having a really hard time on the road. And it's usually the wife who feels like there's, maybe she's kind of with the kids, especially if the husband is the income earner. And like to not have your sister or your mom or your best friends from home, and to not have the community on the road that you can lean on in lieu of those people from your old life, that can be really difficult. So like I've seen that with people. And I think one of the big things, so we learned this by having RV'd previously. When we RV'd, we went to RV resorts, right? They're a little bit bougier, but who did we run into, right? It was usually, it was a bunch of retirees. And my kids weren't trying to play pinochle with Gladys, right? They wanted to like play with kids. So when we went to the RV parks that had really cool lazy rivers and slides and that sort of stuff, there were kids there, but they were the kids that were on vacation. Right. So at best, they're going to overlap like a week, and then they're never going to see him again. So I knew that going in, and I said, how are we going to alleviate this issue? That is what prompted us to join 1,000 Trails. And, I tell people, like, are the RV parks the best? No, they're absolutely not. But we don't stay at 1,000 Trails Park for 3 weeks so that we can stay at a swanky RV park. Like, we'll go down the street for that. We stay there because that's where the other full-time families are, and that's where my kids can play with other kids and they can make that connection. And they're kids that they already have a lot in common with, right? They're all already homeschooled. They're all already full-time RVers. So they're like instant friends usually.
Yeah.
And, you know, it cuts through all that. Kids already don't have a lot of like BS to cut through when they make friends, but it's like even more raw that they can become like besties immediately. So, I mean, like my oldest is a perfect example of this. When we just got on the road, it was our very first Thousand Trails park, as a matter of fact, in South Carolina. And we ran into another family, kids similar ages. They actually have a daughter named Rowan, and I have a daughter named Rowan, which is not a very typical girl name. No. So, you know, we got along really well. My husband's former military. Her husband had just retired from the Coast Guard. So their oldest daughter and my oldest, same age, got to be best friends. I mean, as close as you could possibly get with people in 2 weeks. We met up with them again down the road at another place, and we just met up with them. We just spent 2 weeks with them outside of Orlando, and my oldest had her first sleepover ever in her life. So like in our sticks and bricks life, they had a really hard time because once they left the school environment, you know, our neighborhood is really tied to our school. So when Susie Q down the street had a birthday, she invited everybody in her class. But like once my kids weren't in her class anymore, they're kind of out of sight, out of mind. So that transition to homeschooling, I think, was difficult for us in that environment because we really were out of sight, out of mind. And my kids had finished their schoolwork and they'd wait anxiously for, you know, people to come home after school, and then everybody else would be super scheduled, or they'd have to, you know, do hours of homework. And like my kids felt like they didn't have anybody to play with.
Yep.
So never did that opportunity to have a sleepover with somebody. Like we didn't even have the opportunity to figure out, are we sleepover people? Are we comfortable with this? I don't know. Where do we stand as parents? Right? Because it had never
even got there.
But like last week, she had her first sleepover with her best friend. And it was a whole, like, you know, very preteen girl. Let's all talk about boys and, you know, all sorts of stuff, and like watch movies and have snacks. And it was the whole like normal kid experience, right? But it happened here in this lifestyle in an RV.
That's cool.
Which I wouldn't have anticipated if I hadn't, I guess, seen it with my own eyes and lived this life.
Yeah. So the Thousand Trails was kind of a good segue into that for you guys. Yeah. And then full-time families, you do that as well, right? You said full-time families?
Yes.
Oh, so those are two different things. The Thousand Trails is like the membership. It's like almost like a timeshare. You can go through different places and be, right? Did you guys do the full year membership or like the 5-year thing, or how'd you do that?
Oh, ours is like lifetime.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like a one down, done. See ya. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you pay like dues, but.
Yeah. I think there's a fear of that. I mean, especially as a parent, you know, there's a fear of like your kids not thriving in such an environment. And as for me as a kid, I mean, I wanted to be outside. So if you put me somewhere like small space inside, then I'm going to be outside even more. I mean, I was outside all the time. I was like this color. I was so dark when I was a kid. You know, I was at the pool. Like my mom didn't even I didn't really go to daycare. I went to daycare till I was like 5 or 6, maybe, or whatever. I went from daycare, and then I went to preschool. And then in the summer times, I was just at the pool all day.
Right.
Like I was like, that was my daycare. Like that. So I was like shredded and tan.
Nice.
For like most of my childhood, that's just what I was. But you know, that was because that's where all the kids were anyway. And so she gave me, $5 and said, go have a heyday, but it's really important for kids. You brought up homeschooling as well. It's a totally different lifestyle for homeschooling. The community connection, I think that's pretty easy within the RV world because of Thousand Trails and full-time families, and then the rallies. So you go to those, and there's always things for kids to do. It's like summer camp for kids and adults. It sounds. Yes. I heard it's great. I'd love to show up at one of them at some point in time. But honestly, it just seems like these kids. are going to be just fine. Like they're finding awesome people. You guys find awesome people. You become friends with people that you're like-minded. Military is kind of a big thing. That's because they retire earlier than most, it seems like, right? They have, or mostly, it seems like that a lot of those guys end up RVing. I don't know why, but a lot of people seem to. I guess there's a lot. I don't know how many. I wonder what the percentage of people that are ex-military. It's probably quite a bit.
It's got to be pretty high. I mean, I think that it appeals to a certain kind of like freedom-seeking, libertarian-leaning personality, right?
Yeah, most definitely. But you're also getting I guess, like-minded people just in general. Right. They were just like tired of the mundanity. So like you're getting, not only are the kids going to be around kids that want to be friends with kids, right? But you're around people that are chasing a lifestyle that you're also chasing. So it's a whole like-minded, I guess, hive of people, and so each one of these places is like that. So super cool. I have a question about homeschooling. So we're going to go back from community connection. You crush it. I mean, you guys have found it. You guys have no problem with that. But the homeschooling side of things, one, it was a challenge. You just said that with the actual homeschooling. Now it's like road schooling, right? You're on the road doing this. But is it a challenge with 4 kids at like from 11 or 12 to what, 4? Is that where you're at?
5 is our youngest.
Okay. So, I mean, you kind of got it all out of the way.
Yeah. I told my husband, if we ever get out of diapers, I'm never going back. So we got to have them all back to back. It's not easy. It's certainly easier probably to like have all the chaos in the morning and pack the lunches and send your kids off to school and outsource that. But I think it took me, I would say, the first 3 years of homeschooling to figure out what I was doing. Okay. Because for the first 3 years, I thought that I was doing school at home. And it turns out that is not what I was doing. If I wanted to do school at home, then why wouldn't I just send my kids to school to do school there?
Okay.
Right? But there was something that I didn't like about sending my kids to do school at school. So why am I just trying to replicate school at home? So I've had to kind of walk things back. And I think also get a little introspective about some of the stories that I had about school and education and being intelligent and what's useful information, to really figure out where to spend my time, and what's best for my kids. So a big thing for me was realizing, and this is, RV life has really, really helped with this. So I had to realize that to homeschool, I'm not doing school at home. I am just nurturing and I'm teaching my children all the time. Right? It's not like, hey guys, wake up at 9 a.m. we're going to start math and we're going to do it till this time and we're going to do this until noon and then we're going to break for lunch and then we're going to do no, that wasn't it. That doesn't work. What I have found that works for us well is realizing that homeschooling is a holistic way of raising my kids. It's math happens all the time. Math might happen when we're at Target and my kids want something that's 20% off, or when we go out to eat and I teach them how to quickly calculate that 20% tip. Right? Or they're figuring out how to manage their money. They're learning so many more useful skills. So, I mean, I can sing you the 50 United States song with all the states in alphabetical order. That has not really served me very well in life up to this point. I'm going to be 41 soon. I don't think I've ever once needed to know them all in alphabetical order, but I do. I have a whole lot of other useless information. The Pythagorean theorem isn't something that I draw.
Sine over cosine, tangent, cotangent. all them things are useful.
Yeah. So I've kind of taken this attitude that I want them to be well-versed in, as much basic math as they can be at this age, which has been fine because we're only now to the point where we've got a middle schooler with our oldest. And I want them to be fantastic readers, because anything, I started to get a glimpse of this when we started RVing. When we would take, a long trip out to Big Bend and they would see the layers in the rock, and they'd talk to the park rangers, and they'd learn about the dinosaurs that were at Big Bend, and the rock formations were from volcanoes that erupted. That would spark something. Oh, now I'm really into volcanoes. So then we'd go home and we'd go to the library, and my kids would read every book on volcanoes, right? Or my son would get on a big dinosaur kick, and then we had to learn everything about dinosaurs. So kids have this natural curiosity that if you can get them to, like, you know, be functional in basic things like math and reading, you can follow their curiosity. So I don't have a structure for things like social studies and science. Like, we figure out where we're going. I mean, the fact that their life is teaching them geography is huge. There's so much stuff that just this lifestyle teaches you that you can't not learn, right? And they're already little sponges. So just creating these opportunities for them to absorb the things that they're exposed to, schooling happens all the time, right? So if we take Thursday off of book work for school because we're going to go hike at a national park, and, you know, they're going to fill out their little booklets and they're going to get their junior ranger badges, like, they've learned a ton that day. And a lot of that stuff, I think, ends up being more valuable. It's stuff that you remember more than worksheets.
I like the way you think. Much so.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really do. Cause, like, I mean, like, there's, they say opinions don't matter, right? But I went to a parochial school, a Catholic schooling from K through 12. And I think that I really appreciate where I grew up and how I grew up and how I went through schooling. I really do. But a good portion of it is basically useless, right? I mean, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care at all for, like, social studies. I didn't care at all for, like, I like geography because I like nature, right? But I didn't care. Like, history wasn't huge for me at the time. Now, like these kids, you know, they go see Mount Rushmore, they understand why, because they get to read about it. Like, you know, if you're there, or you go out to the Appalachians and you see the Appalachian Trail, they understand what that's about. Or you go to Gettysburg, you understand what that's about, or anything, Fort Knox, or whatever it may be. All those things, you guys are like, it's immersion, right? And then you get to learn about it that way. Or, you know, I talked to Katie and Vern, the Nomad Nesters, if you don't know about them, but they like, if they had, their kids had an interest in something, they'd go to it and do it.
Yes.
You know, they're like, hey, my one kid wanted to learn how to surf. So, well, we went down to Florida and learned how to surf. The whole family did. And then you read about back surfing. How did it all become about it, the history of it? Or, like, he wanted to be a mountain man. So they went out into the mountains and did a whole trail thing, hike and all that. And, like, they learned about that. And there's so much more to it than just, you know, how much more life skills are actually being taught to these kids, road schooling or all the time schooling, like you said, versus turn to page 394, read the page, here's a quiz. Like, you know, and it's all memorization, which is, you know, when, and besides, you know, doctorates or being a doctor or someone in the ER, are you really not able to access information to answer something or fix something, you know?
Right. There's also stuff you have to memorize. Like, we're so lucky that everybody carries around, like, I carry a computer in my pocket all day.
Supercomputer. These things are incredible.
Right. My kid's math book asked him, like, how many bushels were in a peck. And I was like, I've not needed to know that once. Skip it. But first 3 years I homeschooled, I wasn't comfortable skipping anything. Right. I was like, oh, we have to do it all because otherwise we're not getting a good education. But I really had to reframe kind of what that good education meant. And I also had to realize that there's some other things that school doesn't value at all. Social interaction. Like, two of my kids have struggled with social interaction and, like, reading other people's social cues, like coming on too strong or being real handsy when they play and, like, not getting the vibe that their friends don't like how they're playing. And sort of watching them struggle through that is difficult for a parent. But to see them in this environment where, you know, they've got to interact with kids. I have one boy and he is all boy and he's got 3 sisters. So when we go to a full-time family's event and there are other boys there, it is time. He's like, okay, guys, it is Nerf gun battles. And then when we're done with Nerf gun battles,
Squirt guns, we got it all.
We're all going to dress in military gear. And then we're going to have a war. And I'm going to be the battle commander. And yet, like, he goes hard. We're going to climb trees. We're going to wrestle. He wants to do all the boy things.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't jive well with boys that are more sensitive.
Yep.
Right. And like that's a major sticking point for him because he's rough and tumble and like he just gets so excited that this is an outlet now for like all these boys.
Yep.
So he's struggled with that, but he's learning to make friends that are older than him, to play with kids that are younger than him, to like read those social cues now. And like they don't teach that in school.
Nope.
At all.
Nope.
So like there's so much stuff that, you know, we're teaching on a daily basis that if we were back in our house, in our neighborhood, in Houston, going to our school that, you know, we had to buy the house to get into the school that we wanted to get, like, they wouldn't be learning that. They're going to sit in a classroom with, you know, 20 some of their peers and, you know, they're going to have to be accepted by people. Like, oh, you don't like Taylor Swift and you don't have a Lululemon crossbody bag or you don't have, you know, you don't carry
you don't follow
Stanley.
trends?
Like,
what's wrong with you?
You're not cool, right? Like there's a lot of peer pressure and everybody wants to fit in and be liked by people. But the great thing about RV life is like these kids are really confident being themselves and interacting with people. Like there just isn't a lot of peer pressure. It's like you can find your people. We have the same thing in common, but I don't have to worry about like sitting at the cool kids' lunch table as an RV kid because we're going to play for 3 weeks. And if like we really get along, we'll meet up again. And if we don't really get along, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have to change who I am so that you'll accept me. I don't need you to accept me. And like that to me is like the most, like, it gives me goosebumps as a parent to think about raising kids that they don't have to forget who they are for 18 years and then figure out who they are like once they leave school and they're on their own. Like we just get to stoke their curiosity. We get to help them be them and be confident in who they are and then go on from there. Like it feels so much more efficient, I guess, to like send them out as young adults already knowing who they are and knowing how to navigate things and not having all those fears of fitting in and being normal. And yeah, I mean, it took me 40 years to figure that stuff out. So I'm so excited for my kids at the idea that they're going to have it figured out at 20.
Yeah. Let them lean into their own personality. Like, I mean, that's like where I went to school. They legitimately tried to beat the personality out of me. They didn't win though. I'm an animal, but they really tried. I mean, I went to a Catholic school, so like, and I was like on the 90s kid, right? So like right until that 2000, there was, you know, no computers, no social media. Like I got pulled by the ear, you're kneeling all class. Like, I mean, there was things that like probably wouldn't be okay nowadays, but I mean,
it doesn't fly now.
No, it doesn't. But like they, you know, they try to take your creativity and take the personality, who you are, and like mold you into something that you're not. Like, I mean, it didn't work, obviously, but
thank God.
Yes, thank God. Yes, thank God. I do appreciate that. Like, it probably did give me some structure that I did need, right? But I don't know. It was, I really think that this road schooling or living in an RV and doing the things you guys are doing, I think these kids are going to come out so much more well-rounded than any other kid. You know, obviously there are the outliers, you know, the either they're the semi-popular kids that don't really care about the rest of it, you know, or like the athlete, just like, I'm just an athlete, like forget about all that. You know, there are still outliers within this public school system, but it doesn't cater to a lot of people. It doesn't cater to you to like sit into who you are as a person. Like you can just be yourself. Like you guys are saying, like, just go sit with kids. Like you'll find out if they don't like you real quick. Like, you know, like you, or just be you, just like do your thing. I think it's really cool. I'm very interested. You know, I'm happy for you guys to see like how your kids are going to come out, because I think they're going to come out fantastically. And like, the more I talk to you, talk to full-timer types, like the more I get excited about, you know, that's how I want my kids to be. Like I would love to be that type of person, like bring people in like, find whoever it's going to be with me, and then raise kids on the road like that.
Yeah.
To me, that sounds phenomenal. Now, also, we're going to hit sports with this real quick. You guys aren't really to that point. And after that, I'm going to have to use the bathroom. This is my first bathroom break. Because it's my first ever mid-podcast bathroom break. But real quick with sports, how do you guys plan to go about that? You did mention, Jeff said that he would love to have his son play college football. But how do you plan on getting there? Because, there's a lot of things that, like schooling, PE and sports. And then you obviously have recess and whatever, building those fundamental skills to be an athlete, right? Some people are just gifted to be an athlete and can learn that later. It is what it is. I had a buddy that was slow until he got into high school, and all of a sudden he was just a stud, but he never was really before that. And anyway, how do you guys plan to go about like sports for that reason? Or you guys, maybe that's something you tackle when you get there and like get off the road?
It's something that we will probably tackle down the road. We are making some shorter term plans. So my son had only gotten up to flag football. Okay. I mean, he thinks he's like Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Like the best football player that ever existed. But literally he just needs to work on catching the ball. He's like, let's run trick routes. And I'm like, no, buddy, let's just catch the ball. He's like, let's work on interceptions. I'm like, that's literally just catching the ball.
Still catching the ball.
Yeah. God bless him. He dreams big, but he needs some more flag football in his life. So the nice thing is we're getting ready to head up to the Panhandle of Florida, and we're going to do the Full-Time Families big family reunion. It's a huge event. I mean, I think we rented out the entire RV park, and it's just our group. There's like 283 kids that will be there.
Goodness. And oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's going to be insane.
That sounds like my internal hell.
So it's the whole RV park. It's all Full-Time Families members. The rally itself is like the first week. And there's lots of fun stuff. The kids have, a talent show, and they do a kids marketplace where they can all sell services or crafts that they make. They've got a dance for the kids, like just cool stuff. And then the next 3 weeks, so some people just come for that 1 week. A lot of people stay for the month. And then you can choose if you want to participate in like a drama camp or sports camps. So my daughters are doing drama camp with their friends, and they'll spend the next 3 weeks practicing a play and putting together like the stage. So you can do a backstage role, you can do an acting role, and then they'll put on their performance at the end of the month. Yep. And then my son, of course, being, the gifted athlete that he's 100% positive that he is going to go rock some sports camps for the next 3 weeks. So that it may be a little humbling for him, but it'll be good for him. We have the option, we're thinking about, we're not traveling a ton this summer. And by about October, we're probably going to come back to Florida and spend some time in Florida. And we have the ability, I-9 sports is one that a lot of people do. You can do flag football and soccer. So there are opportunities. He's dead set that he wants to do tackle football. The city of Orlando has a tackle football program. So those things are out there. I think we'll just we'll wait and see. Kids change the things that they're interested in all the time. So we're not trying to really uproot our life. Now my older two are both girls. And when we left Houston, they were really into they took basically like circus school. They were really good on aerial silks. So like Cirque du Soleil stuff. They could climb those aerial silks all the way up to the roof. They could spin around. They could do fancy drops and all sorts of cool stuff. And it was great for them because they gained a ton of upper body strength and a lot of confidence. And they did performances and had to get over, actually being afraid to perform in front of a group of people. So they learned a lot from that. It was hugely valuable, and they had a hard time leaving that. So I think it's Florida State does some kind of circus camp because they have an actual performing circus on campus. They do aerial silks and trapeze and things like that. That may be something that we have the ability to then go stay in the area, send the kids off to circus camp. I'm sure, I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure if we decide to stay in Orlando so my son can play football, we can also find, some sort of aerial gym for my older girls, and they can get back into that for a period of time. So those things are there. Maybe, I think it's finding a location that you want to stay long enough, like probably 3 months, to make it worth it to play a season. You don't have to necessarily live somewhere. You don't have to go to the public school system in order to participate in sports. So there are a lot of possibilities out there for families that travel full time.
Yeah, it's just kind of one thing. I was like, I wouldn't be me without sports.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't be. And I know that for a fact, like how much discipline it put into me, how much like mental clarity and mental focus. And then obviously physical fitness, if you want to do stuff, you have to be, say skiing. I have to stay in shape to go skiing. I can't just
Yes.
I can't just gain 30, 40 pounds and go skiing like I did last year. There ain't no way. I just can't do it. Or, hiking in the mountains. So like, there's just certain things that I know I could not be, or even, I guess, what I learned from sports, even taking it into my, everyday career life, there's no way. Just like without sports, I would have no structure. Yeah. So it's always, that's like one fear of mine, but there are a whole bunch of solutions. Like you said, I-9 Sports, it sounds like one of them. The sports camps, the full-time families, that's wonderful. I'm just kind of curious. I mean, you're entering that realm now with that 12-year-old ish is kind of like, that's where it kind of starts to start, I mean, where I grew up, it was a very, very sports community. Like I was in summer camp basketball, like in second, third grade, and then wrestling. I was wrestling early. And then, I was in sports literally till I was 23. Like, I mean, from 5 years old to 23, it was a long time of sports. And then all of a sudden it was just nothing. It's like, what do I do? I had no idea. Like finding out who I was outside of athletics was the hard part for me. I didn't know what to do. But yeah, so sports are a big thing.
That's kind of how my husband grew up. I mean, he always played multiple sports every year. He played college football as well. And I think that, getting back to the basics of like, we're just catching the ball. A lot of it is physical fitness, right? And if you're physically fit, then you get to do all the fun stuff that we're doing. Like we want to do more challenging hikes depending on where we're going, right? Or if you want to go and you want to like actually play sports and play sports well, then like you need to be physically fit. So even though we travel full time, like we've got a little gym that we use, and we owned a gym for 12 years. Like I did online coaching for busy moms. So this is not anything that is new to us. Being physically fit is extremely important. And one of the nice things about full-time RV life is that you guys are always together, right? So there is no like, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Like our kids see us work out all the time, right? And so like we set an example that we take care of our bodies, right? We eat well. And now granted, they're still kids. They still want to eat Oreos and sit around and like watch YouTube and stuff. So we still fight against that. But like yesterday I went running with my 12-year-old daughter, and she is so fast. She kicked my ass. And like, I can't
did you get it?
She's so fast. And I'm just like old and slow, and like everything is labored, and she's just like a gazelle. But it's like, she didn't know she actually kind of likes to run. And I'm like, well, you're really good at it, right? So like now that's starting to be her thing, where she's like, oh, I might just take up running, right? I didn't have to tell her like, hey, you're going to do this activity. So sometimes it's just like they'll watch us lifting outside, and they'll be like, hey, we're going to do a workout with you. And I'm like, fantastic. And got some little baby weights that I'll give them, and they'll come out there, and my son will try to bench press and work on his. Do some curls. Yeah. He thinks he's hot stuff. It's great.
That's awesome. Oh, shoot. Pee break time.
Hey, if Rogan can do it, you can do it.
Oh, I got it. I didn't know. I mean, I wrote it down. 123, 150. Yeah, we're going to get Rogan on here eventually, maybe. All right, we'll be right back. Okay. We are back. Okay, 127. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
127. 40-ish, around there. If Joe Rogan can do it, I can do it. I like that. Oh, okay.
It seems fair.
Seems fair. Yeah. I mean, I just like, I can usually do it, but for some reason, I guess I just had too much water today, apparently. Which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Got to keep your hydration up, right?
Yep.
Anyway, so now we're going to move on to financial aspects. You ready?
Yes.
You ready? Good. I eat a piece of chocolate. All right. All right. So you guys went from like real estate style things, right? You did a lot of real estate investments, but you also had a gym. You had other businesses going on. So how did you transition into or reverse engineer your lifestyle to do this? Like, I guess, how do you sustain it financially? What do you do? What do you guys do? Are there any specific tips you can tell people about earning income on the road?
Yeah. I mean, for us personally, this is the culmination. So this is like the lifestyle that we've been working for years. So before going full time on the road, when we were just in our sticks and bricks house, my husband didn't have anybody that he reported to. He was self-employed. We worked together in real estate. We worked together in the gym. Once we sold that, he had moved, a lot of our properties into management. So we've got a really good team. So we just kept doing what we've always done. It looks a little bit different now. So for example, we were somewhere in the Midwest, probably leaving Indiana, packing up, and he was supposed to be on the roof, sweeping off the top of the slides so that we could leave. And I wasn't getting the signal, like, hey, you can pull the slides in. I go outside, I'm like, hey, buddy, what is going on? And he's up there on his phone, and he's like, sorry, I'm buying a house. Oh, okay. What? So, he's got a team in place. They know kind of where he buys. When something comes available, he snagged it up. It needed to be renovated, but he's got a team already in the area that he trusts, that he's spent the time to build. And so, he just renovated this house. It just came available in the last couple weeks. It's up for rent now, fully renovated. He did the same thing, renovated this storage building from afar with a partner that's there in Houston. So some of that is kind of, he knew real estate was a great outlet for us. I was an agent for a while. I just did our deals though. I didn't, I'm not trying to drive people around, help them buy their first home. That's not my jam. But when I found stuff that fit what we were trying to buy, that way, I'd make money on the front end, and then we'd make money by owning it over the long haul. That worked well, but I'm not doing that anymore just because I don't need to now. But I think for people that are interested in RVing full time, there's a million ways that you can make money, right? I mean, there's people like you said, people that, since 2020 have become remote workers. If your company's still fine with that, we meet people all the time. I mean, there's a downside to that because a lot of the time you're in your RV Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And is that what you want? I don't know. If that pays the bills and that's what you need for now, then that works.
Yep.
But for us, the things that pay the bills are real estate investment and the company that my husband runs. And that's about it. A lot of it is at this point passive income because that's what he's built for us to create the type of lifestyle that we want to live. He's always kind of had the attitude that he's 45, right? And our kids are 5, 8, 10, and 12 now. So when you think about our oldest, we've got 6 more summers with her. And then she's going to be gone. So this is a lesson I think he learned the hard way because when our kids were younger, he was out there. He was like hustle, grind, make money, provide. But that took him away a lot. Whereas now I think he understands that his focus now in this phase of life is to be as present as possible. But he still wants to go build big stuff. right? Create big things and, make more money. He's big on you can't impact other people's lives without money. So like we just talked about, it's a tool for a lot of things and it can be used for a lot of good. So being able to transition back into that mode of like, now it's time to build when the kids are a little bit older. He's like, I got all the time in the world. Like I can build companies when I'm 55. Like, create a life, I guess, that you don't really need to retire from. That's been the goal. And luckily that's worked out pretty well financially for us.
Yeah.
And, he's been good at coaching other people on doing those things as well.
Yeah. If you enjoy the life you live, are you really working?
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy what you do. You never work a day in your life. That's the quote, but
Indeed.
That's crazy. So you guys run real estate and another business?
Yeah. So he does, tied into the podcast that he does. He runs a coaching group that is 4 men. A lot of them invest together. But usually kind of what he tries to do is to get people to figure out what you need to be financially free. And then with most people, he says, depending on where you are already, like what your starting point is, you can become financially free in 2 to 7 years. So he utilizes things like real estate to build passive wealth, or different type of investment strategies, things like infinite banking. Basically, how can you get your money to go out and work for you so that you're not working for money?
How much is this course? I'm tired of this.
He should have been here. He knows like the ins and outs of what he does. I can only send you to his podcast, but
all right. Well, yeah. All right. Well, and that's step one. Yeah. Using money to work for you versus using work to get money. Okay. Yeah. That's what I've been trying to do. I mean, I've been investing hardcore in a lot of things, but it's, the stay broke is you can only stay so broke. And
his brain works in a way that mine doesn't. Like he sees ins and outs. He sees strategies for things that like I can't quite wrap my head around. He'll find ways to, it's almost like he's kind of copying like fractional banking the bank does, because the bank will like take your money and the bank will like take your money and then go earn money off of your money.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like he finds ways with things like infinite banking to invest money, but then you can pull it out, you can put your money to work, but then it's still earning a positive interest rate even while it's out earning somewhere else. So, and he figures out how to like work these systems and stuff. It's beyond my pay grade.
It's something with like 401k. They do that too. You can do that. I've talked to my financial advisor. He does something like that too. So interesting. I will be watching and listening to your husband stuff.
Yep,
yeah.
Smart. Yep. And he does, he emphasizes sort of 4 F's in life. And like, that's what he coaches on. It's fitness, it's family, it's finances, and freedom. Yep.
I've heard that before in other coaching things that I've gone through, but that's awesome. Good for you guys, because that's no joke. I mean, being around for the important stuff in life, that's a lot of people chase the full-time RV life because of that. They were like, I want to be present for these milestones of our kids. I mean, there's being a parent it's not easy anyway to, being able to provide that way. Being around makes it hard, or I guess being around is hard to do while trying to provide as well. So, kudos to you guys for figuring it out and doing it. And making it happen, and seeing that, you can be doing stuff when you're 55, 60 years old and still making money and killing it. That's awesome. So kudos to you and yours for that. What about advice for beginners? Because you guys have a little bit of different background. You actually did some RVing. You had your toy hauler and you loved it, and you're kind of sad that you don't have it no more. Then you got a new Class C, which was a mistake, but hey, if you don't fail, you never learn. And,
learned.
But what advice would you give someone that's on the fence about transitioning into the full-time RV life? And then we'll dump into another question after that.
I think my biggest piece of advice would be you need to know your why. Like you need to have a really strong sense of why you're doing this, because it sounds glamorous. You watch people on Instagram and you see like it looks really cool. Look at all this fun stuff. Look at these great places. But what you don't see is a lot of the stress that goes along with travel days and things that break. And oh, I forgot to latch this. My shower door shattered. We get to a park and there's not actually a spot that's big enough for us. Or we just backed in and got set up and realized that the electrical doesn't work, or whatever it might be. Like, stuff's always going to go wrong, right? This is a lifestyle that absolutely 100% requires flexibility.
Yep.
So you need to know why you're doing it. And it needs to be strong enough that the days when it's kind of hard or it's frustrating, that your why is big enough to carry you through.
So, Kristen,
Yes.
we're going to jump around again. What is your why? I mean, I got to ask it. I mean, I can't just not segue with that. Like,
So,
what is the Smiths, Jeff and Kristen Smith's why?
we years ago set core values individually as a family, and one that came up for both of us individually was freedom. So like I used to just be a nice libertarian girl when COVID hit and I turned into a raging anarchist. I like freedom in all aspects of life.
Anarchy!
Yes. I despise government overreach. Taxation is theft. All of these things.
Yep.
So
Yep, I get you.
I crave freedom in every aspect. I crave freedom with how I educate my kids, how I raise my kids, where I live, all of it. And full-time RVing facilitates achieving that freedom. So like for a long time, you know, I guess if you want to get like crazy prepper stuff, like sometimes the world looks like it's in shambles and you're like, should I just get a bunker on a like piece of dirt somewhere and have my own well? And like, are they going to poison me? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in this crazy world? But there's a level, you could be like the craziest person in the world and go down that rabbit hole. But there's something really nice about having an RV that's got some solar that like you could just park somewhere. Like if every place else kind of like goes to hell in a handbasket, right? Like there's no, I feel like, level of freedom that you could look for that full-time RVing can't provide. And to me, that is the biggest, most fulfilling thing about it. It's that like we have freedom. I don't have to pay property taxes anymore, which is like the most onerous, offensive one, that like you have to rent your house from the government forever. No, like
that bothers me. That one bothers me.
It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, it's awful.
You know, you can choose a state that you live in. Don't pay income taxes. Like you can. There's just freedom to create your life exactly the way that you want it to look. And I will trade, you know, sitting on the side of the highway with a blown tire every day of the week if it means that I have that level of freedom to create my own life.
I like that. This is turning into one of my favorite conversations. Man, we can, yeah. Think if we had a beer, you know?
I know.
Like, oh, we'd get philosophical. We'd get deep.
I know, it'd be so good.
Oh, yeah. Hey, phase 2 of the RV voice. This is year 1. You know, we're getting there.
Yep.
Honestly, though, it's really cool. It's I have a lot of core values that, you know, that you're kind of nailing on the head. So it's very, very interesting to hear that. One, I'm not the only one to think that. I'm not. I have a lot of friends that think very similar to that. But the fact that you're kind of taking life by the horns, and that's like kind of why you're doing this full-time RV life. It's just interesting to kind of see the full circle coming around and why you do what you do and how you do it. So it's very cool to hear all that. But back to the advice,
Yeah.
the why you crushed it. So the advice for beginners, I want to know what misconceptions are there about RV living that you'd like to address? You said the ease of it, right? It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, you have to be flexible. It's but like, what's the, I guess, another misconception, or even, what's a misconception?
I think people can have all sorts of misconceptions. Some people think it's too expensive, but there's a way to do it like so it fits in your budget. Some people think it's super cheap. It's not necessarily super cheap. But again, it kind of comes down to freedom. Like, you have the ability, you can do it in an expensive way, or you can do it in an inexpensive way. You can, same kind of thing. Like, you can create whatever opportunity you want to earn money on the road. Like, you have, even within this lifestyle, it's very similar to like, well, do you want to go and buy, a very small 1-story on a slab house in a small town in the Midwest that you can get for, $150,000? Or do you want this, palatial 7,000 square foot home that's obviously much more? Like, it's going to depend on your budget. So I think a lot of people don't understand that those same kind of things apply to RV life, and that there are trade-offs to all of them, right? Do you want to have a payment on your truck and on your rig? Do you not want to? You want to pay cash for those things and not have any debt, but maybe deal with like more maintenance? I don't know. I think that it's something that people look at a lot, and they don't realize that there's so many intricacies that you can pull the levers on so many things to make it work for your lifestyle if you want to.
Yeah. Goodness. You're throwing me for a loop. Big time. All the right ways. I'm like, this is a great conversation. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, the grabbing life by the horns, right? I mean, it's how you want to live it, how you want to go about it, and misconception of it. Obviously, it's not going to be the same normality of life. Every day is going to be different, but to me, there's some beauty in that. Every day is different, right? But there's like real beauty in like the idea of like, oh, well, we went to bed and woke up in Florida, but now we're in South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Same day. I really realized that. So when I first started making money, I was like, I got to travel. Like my dad's been a pilot his whole life, so he's got to see a lot of stuff, and I always got to hear about it when he was, he'd come back from his travels. And when I first started making money, I was like, I'm gone. See ya. Went to Europe for 20 days 20 or 21 days. And then, I woke up in Lincoln. I fell asleep in Amsterdam, like it was within 20 hours, I was in a whole new country, a third of the way across the world. I don't know. There's a lot of cool things about, just being able to travel and move and, being on the go,
Yeah.
It's
I think
very,
people
very,
also
very cool.
underestimate how much there is to see and do in the United States. Like, I know I did, because when I graduated from college and I went to grad school, I used to go to the Middle East like every summer for 3 months, and I would go study, and then I would come back and I'd do the school year, and then I'd go back to the Middle East again for the summer. And I kind of thought, I don't know, maybe it was like a hoity-toity attitude that in order to travel, you needed to travel internationally. And some of the experiences that I've had, like, I'd never been to New Mexico and Arizona until this past year.
Yeah.
And to visit some of these places that literally look like Mars, and they're my own country, like, it's wild that there's so much stuff. Like, hey, you want desert? Got it. You want beaches? Got it. You want mountains? Got it. Like, you want beautiful waterfalls? Got it. Like, what do we not have here?
Yeah.
Like, anything that you want to see and experience, like, we have here. And I think that's probably why a lot of, full-timers, they'll go and hit, all 50 states. And then it's not uncommon to then, like, it's like a gateway drug to then international travel after that. Things like Boundless Life is big with a lot of full-time families, things like that, once you've kind of exhausted a lot of the United States, which is really hard to do, and you're not doing it in a year, right?
No, God, no. Hey, you can't even.
10 years.
Yeah. Have you seen the size of Alaska? There's no chance. You can't see it all.
No.
Unless that's all you do from day 1 to day 0 or whatever you die. The U.S. is massive. The U.S. is wonderful. I've driven across the U.S. in most directions. Holy crap. I mean, it's the different biomes, the different, trees, different plants, different people. You just see so much. I mean, our country is a complete rarity in the world. I mean, obviously, Africa is massive. So that you'll see a lot of that as well. But Asia, it doesn't matter. Everywhere you're at, it's just absolutely incredible. But anything you want and can do, you can probably do it here.
Yeah.
In the U.S. And it's absolutely wild. We are very lucky to have such a wonderful country, but we're the best country. I don't know if that's 100% true, but we are very cool. I don't know if it's 100% true, but I've been in 13, 14 countries. There's some pretty cool countries out there.
I would not argue with that.
Yeah. We're pretty cool, but I don't know. Oh, shoot. Oh. Well, anyway, so what's you've been around, you've been doing this for a year, so it's kind of short term asked question, but what are some of the favorite experiences or places or things that you've done, or maybe some unexpected benefits that you've gained or seen from full-time RV life with it, or your family or self?
Unexpected benefit, I think, is how much closer we are as a family unit.
Yep.
I didn't think that we would become more distant by any means, but I did not anticipate how close everybody was going to be, because all 6 of us are together all the time. We had family. We used to always host Thanksgiving when we had a house. And everyone would fly to us because, they wanted to leave the Midwest and come to Houston, where we still had nice weather in November. So this past year, we just picked a spot and we were in Tucson. So we were like, everybody fly to Tucson and we'll go to Saguaro. We'll host Thanksgiving. It'll be great. So we were playing games with the family, and it was some trivia game. And the 6 of us were answering the same answer every time on the trivia game. So my parents were there, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and they were all looking at us like we were crazy. Number one, they were all inside jokes and things. Nobody knew what we were talking about. And I realized, holy smokes, the 6 of us have become quite a little team where
synonymous almost.
Yeah. So that's been really interesting. And I think that it's helped, navigate some of the challenges, the social side of things for the kids, because maybe they view us more as helpers, less parents, because we are kind of always in the thick of things together. So I think that's been a really good side effect of full-time travel. For me personally, I think, and who knows, maybe this is too deep for a podcast at this point, but we've been doing this for a while, so we'll just go ahead and keep going.
Let's do it.
I feel for me personally, our old life and our old house, there was just so much to do. There was always stuff to clean. There was always, rushing to get to the next thing, the activities or school or whatever it might be. And there was this little layer of stress always. And I don't know if I personally am not good at managing that, or if it's just kind of a mom thing, but I felt with young kids and my husband, that I was the one that always had to smooth things over for everybody. I had to kind of absorb everyone's emotions and keep everyone level and happy and content. And in hindsight, yes, that didn't leave a lot of space for me as an individual. It didn't leave a lot of space for my emotions. So one thing that I've noticed is stripping away a lot of that stuff that didn't bring any value to my life, and it only really caused tension and headache. It has created a level of space to where I have more freedom, I think, to be me and to create space for me, not just as like a wife and a mom. And I noticed that old life, maybe I didn't feel a lot of like, I didn't get very upset. I didn't have like emotional reactions to things, but I was just always very even keel. I didn't have a lot of lows, didn't have a lot of highs, right? Whereas now I think I'm a lot better at feeling emotions. Like they're not always like, I might be really frustrated and I just have to like acknowledge that I'm frustrated, communicate that I'm frustrated, work through it, because you can't stay mad when you live in 400 square feet.
Or you can, you just got to let it out. You got to,
right? Like you
I've talked about this several times with people.
Yeah. You can't do like that weird like walk down the hallway thing and like try to not brush because you're gonna brush. Like you have to figure out a way to, like, when you get pissed off, when you get your feelings hurt, whatever it is, like to work through that stuff and communicate. And I think being pushed to do that put me a lot more in touch with my own emotions. And I noticed that, like, granted, I have to acknowledge like the ones that aren't pleasant, but that's created space for me to like feel all of these like much bigger, much more positive emotions that I didn't really used to have the ability to feel in a weird way. So like for me personally, RV life, I feel like has put me more in touch with myself and my connection to myself. Like I notice I have a trail vehicle. So my husband will drive the truck. He pulls the fifth wheel and then I drive behind him. And sometimes like I'll just catch this glimpse of, here's our home on wheels pulled by this truck, and half my family's in there, half my family's with me, and maybe there's beautiful mountains behind it. And like, I'll just take a mental picture because I'll be overcome with gratitude at like the life that we've created, right? I'm grateful for our rig and the fact that we can rely on it so well and that it keeps us all safe. I'm grateful for our truck. I'm grateful for my husband for being able to back that thing up into some impossible spaces. Like I just have this overwhelming sense of gratitude and contentment and joy that before I don't think I really got to experience as much.
Interesting. It was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not a mother by no means, but the stress, the overabundance of stress, you kind of forget about the rest of it. It's the stay busy mentality, right? Because you just forget about it. Like, it's just like out of sight, out of mind. If I'm staying busy, you can't, this is what it is. Move on. I got to do this. I got bigger fish to fry in the next thing, the next step, next.
We were always distracted by the next.
Correct. And you weren't really living in the present self. They say the present's a gift, right? It's real deal. That's hard to do a lot of times because of what we do, because of the normality of life, the 9 to 5. You kind of forget, you lose oneself a little bit in the sauce. You get lost in the sauce, right? It's a thing. It's true thing, true deal. So, kudos to you to finding that out and actually realizing that about yourself, because that's hard to do. The fact that you're 10 months into it and you're seeing that now, it's only going to get better. You're going to become more yourself and more the person that you want to be or that you're striving to be. So good for you. I think that's really awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah, fun. I mean, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag as well, because I feel like our life goes by so fast now.
So fast.
Like life went by fast before, like you get to a certain age and you look back and you get a little nostalgic and you're like, holy smokes, like it's almost March already. Like that kind of like time's flying, but it is nothing compared to our life now, full-time RVing. Like the days go by so fast because we pack so much life into like all of the days. So old life, there was always the opportunity to kick the can down the road. Like, oh, if the kids wanted to go do something or I needed to go do something, it's like, I'll go do that next week. Like, it's fine. It'll still be there, right? But I can't say that now because like we might not still be in this spot. So if we want to experience something, if we need to do something, like we got to do it now. So like we seize the opportunity a lot more, which it's kind of a catch-22 because I look at my kids and I'm like, oh my God, it's going by so fast now. Like, should we stop and go back and get in the house so like we can slow time down a little bit more? But
nope.
It's just, we're making so many memories together that it's hard to like see it go by so fast, but it's worth it at the same time.
That's cool. Yeah, it's I was just talking to my buddies. I got very lucky with the guys that I grew up with. I've known basically eight of us, 8 or 9 of us that have from preschool basically till K-12, right? We went to high school together. I grew up in a town of 2,500 people, right? And I graduated with 34 people. That's it, 34 people. And if you know me, you know them. Like, you're just adjacent to them because like we're all very similar. But we were brothers, right? And for since we were 18 years old, we've gone on a ski trip at least once a year, if not twice. So we get together, even with kids, guys getting married. Like, no, it's like, no, guys, this is more important. Like I've been around the world. I've been in almost all 50 states. Like, we have something more special than most people ever do. And the fact that like we literally making the effort to go do something.
Yeah. When
you're with people, or like you said, when you're somewhere, you got to make that effort to do that. It's very special. You understand what the importance of, your family is.
Yeah.
There's
a level of intentionality that goes into making that happen. That's huge.
Absolutely. And it's, the full-time RV life just puts you deeper into it. So
yeah,
that's freaking cool. And I'm happy for you guys. That's the fact that you realize it and you're open about it, open talking about it is, it means you're really kind of taking it by the horns again. It's freaking cool. The more I talk to you guys, the more I'm like, oh, man, hopefully somebody would like to do this with me. You got to find the right one, but, yeah, we'll get there someday. I got other fish to fry right now, but okay. Deep talk, emotional a little bit there. That's cool. Future plans. No. Take it back. 1 year. About 1 year. Gadgets and gizmos. What are something that like you absolutely have to have within your RV? Ooh, like I can't RV without said device.
One thing I wish that we would have added sooner is a water softener.
Really?
Love our water softener.
I've heard water like just like a filter, must have filters, okay. But like water softener.
Again, well done, Brinkley, because the Model G comes with an installed 3-stage water filtration system that's already that would have been a big thing. I would have already added that if it didn't come with it. But we added a water softener for Christmas. That's what my husband got me for Christmas. RV water softener.
What a guy.
Yep. What a guy. He knows what I like. Like that soft water. So that was huge. I wish we would have done that earlier. Another thing that is an absolute must for us are adjustable dumbbells.
Oh, I do like those. Those are nice. Yeah.
Big fan. We used to have the Bowflex Select Tech, I think they're called. Yep. We got rid of those. And we replaced them with, I think they're by Nuobell. They're like the Smart Fit, Nuobell, I think. They go 5 to 80 pounds, 5-pound increments, and they've got knurling on the handles. They're way nicer. But those get a ton of use. It's easy. You can do anything with, 2 dumbbells up to 80 pounds. You can get creative.
Yeah, you can do plenty of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big one for us.
A must-have. Dumbbells
is a must-have. We usually, I say we. My husband usually is guilty about like buying all the stuff. He gets onto a kick of something or something's new, and he's like, "We're going to buy all of the accessories. We're going to buy it all right now." And he realized that about himself, that we've invested in a lot of things that maybe have not come to fruition or we didn't need to buy over the years. So I think when we made this decision, we bought this rig, he's like, you know what we're going to do? I'm not going to do the normal thing and just go buy all the stuff. We're going to live in it for a little while, and we're going to figure out what we need. And then as we need it, we'll buy the things that we actually need and want that make life a little bit easier on the road. So we do that. We've got a shared note on our phones. and it's just called like Stuff We Want. And we add things to the list all the time. We take things off the list. So, it'll be stuff like, I didn't know how many outdoor rugs or what sizes, or we didn't know if we wanted a pop up, one of the little clam shelters. So those things will kind of go on the list like, hey, we think we want this, and then we'll give it some time. You're running into people all the time, so you can get feedback from them on what they use, what they don't use. You can see some stuff, and then we've just kind of bought it as we've decided that we really wanted it, which has been good.
Why don't you just put it on your Amazon list? Too easy? Too easy to just press the button?
Now that you say it, we could do that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. That's what I do. I got stuff in my, I haven't touched for months. I'm like, you know what? One of these days I'm just going to bink,
Because you're younger than me. And so you're like, just put it on your Amazon wish list. I'm like, no, I thought we were already technologically advanced because we had a shared note.
Surprised you didn't use an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, no.
Got you there. Oh, well, yeah, that's cool. It's the dumbbells. I've never heard that one. There's another couple. Oh, they're like bodybuilders that do this. I haven't talked to them. I've reached out to them a time or two, but they're like, they have a full gym that they put in their toy hall.
The Beckhams?
Yeah. You talked to them?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I want to talk to them.
We crossed paths with them back in October, November. Yeah, they are hilarious. They've got a whole sled. They'll put their weights on there. They're marching around the RV park, getting their workouts in. Yeah, they're a blast. Yeah,
I definitely love to talk to them because I come from the athletic world. I do work out almost daily. It's wintertime's like my weird time because it's like I'm skiing. Like my leg day is ski day. Like I went up on Friday and it is a good day. But my leg, I went up on Friday and my knees were like, I just went skiing for like 3 days up in Winter Park in Colorado. I came back and went on just kind of like, I'll just get 10, 15 laps in. First lap, I was like, I shouldn't be here. my knees are barking at me. I'm like, we should probably chill. But yeah, so dumbbells, that's a goofy one. That's the first time I heard that, but you're probably the first most active I've talked to.
One that we cannot go without now. They get used just about daily.
That's awesome. We had another couple, the Berneckis, whatever. They're major workout people too. So they didn't say dumbbells though. They said some other things. So, all right. Future plans. What are your future plans, goals with your RV journey? Do you see yourself doing it for quite some time? You don't have any plans to stop in, which is great. But what do you see like goals wise with your RV journey?
Oh man. My husband said that we're going to RV to 48 states, definitely.
Okay.
We may RV to Alaska. So 48/49. We'll see. I don't know that I'm wild about RVing to Alaska. There's been, mixed feedback on that. I don't want to tear up our rig. Roads aren't great. We're also pretty big. So yeah, I've got some reservations about that. And I figure if you already have to, fly to Hawaii to hit that one, what's the harm in doing like an Alaskan cruise or something? So we'll see what we end up doing there. But at the very least, RV to all 48 states. We are at 22 or 23 right now. So I figure that's probably another easily 3 years. We're going to do upper Midwest, upper Peninsula of Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota this summer. We need to do a whole New England summer. We need to do an out west summer that we've been holding off on until our youngest gets a little bit better. She's not quite the hiker that we need her to be yet. She is, without a doubt, she's the terrorist in the family, so she's not in a good mood for the hike. Like, it's not going to go well for anyone.
It's the baby. It's the baby.
It's always. Yeah. So yeah, I think right now this is the first time in our lives. So normally Jeff and I, we do annual planning every year. We'd go away for about 3 days, usually like end of November, beginning of December, and we'd kind of revisit our goals for the year. figure out, what we accomplished over the last year, if anything changed for the upcoming year, things that we were working on, and we would, we'd kind of set our benchmarks moving forward. And this has been the first year that I can't really come up with any big goals, because I'm like, everything's working so well. Like, I just want more of the same. Like, I'm not looking at anything else. There isn't anything else that I want or anything else that I feel like I need to do. It's literally just kind of checking in to make sure everybody's still kind of enjoying the journey, but then, more of the same.
Keep on going. No more Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
That's what you said. I think that's awesome. You guys are going to keep doing what you're doing, taking life by the horns and riding it your own way. I think that's incredible. Kudos to you guys. You're 10 months into it. You don't see any darkness on the horizon by no means. So I don't know what else. This has been an absolutely wonderful conversation. I never know what I'm going into by no means. Every time I like to keep it as I don't want to know you. I don't want to know you yet. It works. It's so much better. It's more raw and real. And I had to do run recording, and it went wonderfully. It did, because this is how it had to happen, because someone deleted my file. I could have killed somebody that day. But anyway, it's refreshing to have, conversations like this, because I don't get to have those every day. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your day, Kristen. And then thank you, Jeff, for playing defense with the children. I heard very few noises.
Yes. I think you took everybody to the pool this afternoon. So kudos to Dad.
Kudos to Dad. Well, you guys are doing social media a little bit. You're not been massive by no means, but you've been doing this for a little bit of time now. So everybody listening, check out tactical _ trekkers. Is that what it is?
No, we're just Tactical Trekkers on Instagram, and mostly Instagram and YouTube. Those are our big things. Taking a little break from long form, but I will get back into it. I promise.
Yes. I mean, that's all I do is long form, and I have to cut it all. But that's why I take notes. That's why, if you guys are watching me, if you watch this and you think hey, he's not paying attention. No, I am paying absolute full attention. I'm just I got loads of notes here. So don't judge me. I've had people comment, and literally I had one couple just smash on them, no, this guy's awesome. You take that back. The comment disappeared. But anyway. Give them a follow on those things. And likewise for myself, we are still building, and we need your love and support out there, people. So give us a follow at the RV_voice on Instagram and YouTube. We do have a TikTok, but I don't really spend a lot of time on there. I post very irregularly on there. I don't even have a posting schedule on there. But RVFix, we didn't even mention RVFix. I apologize.
No, we did.
We did a little bit. We did a little bit.
Booth and how good your display was for RVFix.
And we were just so damn fun. That's literally, we had a lot of people post about us that time, because we're just fun people. Gosh, dirty darn it. But anyway, if you want to discount, use promo code RVVoice, or scan that promo code that I just had there. You have to rewind now because I took it off. But anyway, Kristen, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we close out here?
No, just absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful conversation. And I will be listening to this one again. I listened to all of them again because of one thing, but I'll listen to this one again. So thank you so much. And Jeff, again, thank you. And all the kiddos, thank you for giving up your mom for about 2 hours of time. And everybody out there, stay tuned for more from the RV Voice.